Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of HITSZN. Today's guest hails from the south of Sweden, was once a cheerleader, then a coach. She now owns not only a social media company that talks about everything cheer, she also has two other businesses that fall under it, both cheerleading tools and lower levels. We'd like to welcome Diana from the Cheer Buzz. Hey Diana.
Hi guys.
How is it going?
It's going good.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
We are so thrilled to have you.
It's going to be great. So let's just dive right in. Let's talk about cheer. So you own the Cheer Buzz. Tell everybody about the Cheer Buzz. Just a high overview, 30,000 foot view. What is the Cheer Buzz?
Yeah, it's a media company. And that basically means that I create and post cheer content all over social media and the internet.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Brief summary.
What is your passion? How did you kind of come up with this? You know, I know there's a couple different companies floating around out there, but you have quite solidified a space for yourself and made a name for yourself. How did that come apart? Was it a passion that you really loved? Was it just you kind of learning and wanting to share that with people?
Yeah, so it all happened organically and there was no plan from the start. I just have always been interested in photography and social media and writing and everything. And then as I quit cheer, it sort of evolved more and more because, you know, it's a sport that you never want to quit fully. So I sort of just started with one thing and then tried something and then it all just evolved.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the beginning. So you were a cheerleader. Talk about how did you get into cheer and what level did you get to before you decided to take a step away?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty funny story. I got into cheer as I feel like everyone does. My sister was in cheer. And then we were at this summer camp where you could like try out a bunch of different sports. And you could pick one day between cheer or American football that you just call football, but we call American football. And I chose American football because I was not interested in cheer at all. I thought that was, you know, just the pom-poms and that was it. Didn't care for it at all. And then she started at our local gym. And then I sort of started watching practices, started watching it on YouTube and became like more obsessed than she was. I was looking up YouTube videos and was like, oh my God, you have to see this. And she was like, okay. So I got into it and then I started that same year, I think, on like prep level, just the basics.
Now, how old were you?
Didn't have a mat of, I think, 13.
Okay. So a little bit later
Probably.
than most.
Yeah.
And then you just went after it?
Yeah. I just loved it. And I think I got into it pretty quickly and like realized I was, you know, had stunting came easily for me and then sort of just loved it.
Now, what position were you? Were you a flyer?
A base.
You were a base. Awesome.
Main base.
So when you decided to step away, I'm assuming you aged out. Is that probably an accurate statement?
I got injured, actually.
Oh, no. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I just kept on going and leveled up to our senior 3 team. And then on my birthday of all days, I was at practice and I landed a jump really like badly. And it all resulted in tearing my ACL after 6 months because I didn't stop practicing. And it sort of just got worse and worse.
My goodness.
As time went on and then, it finally snapped and I had to quit. So.
Goodness gracious. That's gotta be tough, especially when you have a passion and you just are dedicating all your time, all your energy, all of your being into this. Yeah. And then you have a season ending or really a career ending injury, right? I mean, I'm assuming doctors probably said, you need to stay away from cheer probably, right?
Yeah, it was a week at first. Just stay out a week, see what happens. And I stayed out 5 days maybe. Because they wanted to put me in the routine and try some stuff. So I thought, why not? Which was stupid. But and And then I thought it got better because I was doing physio and everything at the same time, but didn't help. And then, I had to quit because we don't have any like upper age limit on senior teams here. So I could have gone on until now if I wanted to, but
wow. So you don't, it's not like here in the States where at 18 or even super senior, you can, then you age out and then you're looking at open teams and that sort of stuff. So you could be a 45-year-old woman on a senior team. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at least when I cheered. I don't know if they changed anything, but that's how it was.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. Cause that's a huge thing that people talk about, right? Is aging out, and you watch that runway get shorter and shorter and shorter. And we've got a couple of our HITZero media ambassadors that they can see the end of the runway at this point. And so now it's those decisions based off of, do I go to college and cheer? Is this the end of it? And I had a great time. That's gotta be tough. I'm sure emotionally for you, that was probably a hard thing to really swallow.
Yeah. Because, I didn't want to quit, but I just had to. And I think that's also why I'm having a hard time letting go of cheer and want to keep doing something, because I didn't quit like on my own terms. So
sure, you've got more to give back to the cheer community and more to give to yourself. So you stopped cheering. So is that when your coaching career kind of kicked off, or was there a period of time where you felt like I'm missing something? There's this void, and I need to fulfill it somehow.
Yeah, I did both at the same time, I think, for 1 or 2 seasons. But then I kept coaching for a while, up until the pandemic. So that was fun. And then as that got really well and the team was about to compete, everything shut down, and that sort of ended my coaching career. So I haven't quit anything on my own terms.
Goodness, you're getting a couple bad hands, but it seems like of the late, your hand is looking pretty good. So let's talk about the Cheer Buzz. So you told everybody, obviously it's a media company, and it's fueled by this passion of photography and fueled by the passion of social media. And now we're hearing why the cheer influences come in so much. It's a very similar story to how HITZero Media got created as well. And I know you and I have talked about this a couple different times offline. It's amazing when you are told no on one thing, you're told no on another avenue, and then you just keep fighting through and you continue to mesh and kind of blend all of those passions together. And I can only speak for myself, but maybe you can speak it like this way as well, but it really becomes magic when you put all those passions together. It really just creates something special.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like people talk about how your goal should be to do something you love. And that's just what I feel like I'm doing. So I'm super happy that, like, now afterwards, that things turned out the way they did, because it led to something good.
So the Cheer Buzz, I'm assuming that was born out of the pandemic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of good things came out of it. A lot of bad things, but a lot of good things came out of it as well. So you had to stop cheer. You had to stop coaching. So you're sitting in the pandemic. Tell me a little bit about, how did the Cheer Buzz came about? Like, where did the name come from? Were you just like woke up one day on a Tuesday and said, I'm going to start this social media outlet?
Yeah, if I could only remember. But I had the lower levels account since before that. Just on the side, posting as much as I could. And that grew and grew and grew. And then I wanted to highlight more teams, and not just level 1 to 4, and sort of get into more other types of media. And I was at a meeting with Google in Stockholm, and we were talking about ideas of like what I could do with my platform that I had built. And then it led me to create a newsletter at first, and then I figured I needed a website, so I started that. And it was all under that previous name before. But then during COVID, I sort of, got thinking more about it and wanted to try more stuff. And I don't remember where the name came from. I know I had a list of like a few ideas, and I think I just picked one to,
I love
started.
it. So the lower levels, have you always had a passion for those lower levels, 4 and under?
It's the only levels that I have been on and that I've coached. So it was sort of natural to be leaning more towards those levels. But that idea also just came randomly when I was on the bus home from school. And I was probably listening to cheer music as always. And then I made a note in my phone. Like, I think I wrote down that exact name and thought, like, I'd check if someone has an Instagram account for it. And then I couldn't find one, so I made one. And yeah.
The rest is history. I think it's important though, the lower levels, I really resonate with that because obviously, and you know this as well, is that everybody loves the exciting worlds teams. Everybody loves level 5, 6, 7. I mean, it's an exciting thing to watch. It's quite a performance. It's quite a whole thing. But I think it's important for people to realize where those level 5, 6, and 7s came from. They didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to start cheer and I'm a level 7 tumbler or level 7 stunter. It just doesn't happen that way. I think there needs to be more emphasis on those lower levels because, I mean, you have to, as cliche as it sounds, you have to start somewhere. And sometimes you walk in with, a cartwheel, and other times you walk in maybe with a back handspring, but you really have to start at those foundational levels to be able to grow and build and then be able to get to those, those higher levels, those more, strategic, and not even strategic, but more just really finite skills that are elite. So I think that's pretty cool. So what do you do with the lower levels? Tell me a little bit about like what value do you bring? Like what can people expect out of that?
Yeah, I think creative ideas, because that was sort of, and also growing up over here where teams were years behind in the US and what you saw teams doing, and now it's just like the skill level has gone up so much. And I think that being able to find ideas and see what other teams are doing, and that has helped many teams to create better routines and skills. And so also just like appreciating those levels. Yeah.
Is the choreography out there? Is it getting better? Because we've heard this across a couple different areas and perceptions of cheer. We've heard it from choreo. We've heard it from some judges that there is a difference in skill level. There is a difference in creativity and just even types of routines across the world. We've had a lot of conversations about the Australians and what their looks like. And, their season starts when ours is ending here in the States. So do the Swedes and do overseas really look to the American teams for creative ideas or like, let's call it latest trends? Would you consider like American cheer like the trendsetters, or do you think that that's starting to shift away?
I think that was the case when I got into cheer and for some years, but I think it's starting to change. And teams here are leaning more towards ICU rules, and it's different. And now this past 2 weekends, I was at the Nordic Championships, and the skill level is just incredible these days. Yeah. So we're catching up.
That's amazing. But I think that's good, right? Yeah. Because as you know, Varsity has announced that they're going to do is it a European summit, I believe, or a European Worlds, right? I think that's important. It's the European Summit, right? Is that what they?
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes to the conversation of worlds, right? So we've talked about this before of, okay, if you're going to have a competition that is named Worlds and you are inviting teams from all over, the world, why is it always in the US? Do you think that competition should move around the world?
Yes.
It should take more of an Olympic approach, I think.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, we can't always expect everyone to come to America, especially with, travel costs. I mean, I'm sure if these teams that are traveling across the world to get to Orlando, Florida, it's not cheap. And we learned that the Australians, their season begins when ours is ending. So Worlds is typically their first competition. Like, can you imagine bringing a team to Worlds and it being your first competition of the year?
And globing.
Right. Like, it's not like they're going and not doing it. Like, they're winning.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
Incredible.
That's a lot of endurance. Yeah. So what are the teams like in Sweden?
They're really good now. Like, it's been so crazy to follow the skill level, and it's just incredible. I was surprised watching the Nordic Championships because I don't keep up that much right now with Swedish cheer or Nordic cheer, but I was mind blown, and it's so fun to see. And I think it's helped with going more towards ICU and some of the changes they made. And now routines are 2 minutes long. There are basically no jumps. There's less tumbling. So it's, a lot of focus on stunts. And
so it's really stunt heavy. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think stunting is becoming a huge thing anyway. Are you guys seeing the big craze of co-ed stunting? Like in that little pocket of like competitions just solely focused around co-ed stunting?
Not that I know of that much, but there's been a lot of co-ed teams and co-ed stunting since I started as well. And they sort of come and go, but we have some pretty solid co-ed stunters, yeah.
So do you guys see that in your university as well? Like a lot of cheer in university?
I don't think there is, like, at all. We don't really have that same culture. I know some schools have teams, but it's not in the same way as you see in the US.
Wow. So you take all of this and you put it together, and now you've got these 3 brands that essentially all kind of marriage to one another. Talk about cheerleading tools. So where did that come about? I'm assuming that came after, or did that come before the Cheer Buzz?
Yeah, that came last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I sort of just taking from what I know and how it feels to sort of be on the outside, because everything is so US centric and everything is about America, and you got all the best choreographers and coaches and resources and conferences and everything. So I thought, like, how can we bring education and tools to more people? Because I know what it feels like to be a coach over here and seeing conferences and everything you do and being like, man, I wish they would come over here and teach me something.
It's just out of reach.
Yeah.
So then it just doesn't provide the same opportunity for you guys.
Yeah.
How do you think? So how has that been? So it's a year in the making. How has that been? Have you seen a lot of positive success out of that? And have you gotten a lot of great feedback of people thankful for these resources and tools now available to them?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's still very early stages, but I'm excited to see it grow, and we've got some more courses and stuff coming, so that's going to be really fun. And I hope to just help as many people as possible.
That's fantastic. So you're really just covering cheer all the way around. You got everybody in the lower levels. You got resources for everyone. And then obviously you're telling everyone about cheer and everything going on cheer. So let's really dive into the Cheer Buzz. So you are having to keep up with the what's what, the who's who, the where's where of cheer. Is most of your content centric around what's happening here in the US, or do you try to do your best to really look at it at a holistic view across the world?
Yeah, to be honest, it's easier to cover US because, you know, there's just more to cover and more to like pull from. But I try to cover as much as possible from all over. Again, knowing what it feels like to be sort of on the outside and everything is about America. But yeah, obviously, I'm still the only person doing this full time right now, so it's kind of hard to keep up with everything everywhere, but I try, and the goal is to be more global. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I know I enjoy watching some of the news come through. You know, we obviously live, breathe, and eat cheer out here, and it's one of those things where you think you know what's going on, but you don't. And so I know I've sought value out of it just by able to quick little scrolls, you know, watching at the comps or waiting for my next team to film and just being able to see, hey, what's going on or who's who, or maybe checking out a team. I actually use your the Cheer Buzz for me for like looking out for top teams and ones that are having great success during this season. So then I can go and film them and work with them. And so it's been a very valuable resource for me to be able to understand who's who, and because everything just changes so quickly. Who is the best last year could be completely the underdog or someone maybe not towards the top on the next season. And I think that's what's so exciting about cheer is that it's ever evolving, it's always changing, and there's just so much talent that is being brought up. And there's a lot more talent now happening at a much younger age.
Yeah. And globally.
And globally.
Yeah.
No, exactly right.
Yeah.
I really do want to see like a world's travel. I would love to travel outside of the US to go to something like that. Obviously I don't have a world's athlete yet, but soon, but sure, she'll be age eligible and skill eligible. That's her goal, is to be able to get to, when she gets to age eligibility, that she's got the skills to be able to do that. And she's on a good track for that. And I know that's Erica's daughter. They both cheer together. And they've just got that goal of like, let's go. So that would be really awesome to be able to kind of see that go international, truly international, not just international come, obviously to the United States. So let's talk about competitions. What is your favorite competition that you've covered so far, or that you've really dove deep into here in the States?
The one I attended has been the summit, because I've been there once. But then overall, I have to say majors.
Yeah, majors is pretty ridiculous. Yeah. We had some friends out competing at majors. We had one of our good friends who was on the podcast as well. His name's Aiden Rogers. Shout out to Aiden. He's on both Navarro, but he's also on Cheer Athletics Cheetahs. And so they competed. And then we've got some friends here with our sister gym, ATA Georgia. So Atomic was there. Shout out to Nadia. And so we've just had some really great fun. We unfortunately were at a competition. So we were at Spirit of Hope in Charlotte, North Carolina that weekend. That was the same weekend as Jam Fest and Major. So we weren't able to go up and cover that and to be able to see it. But we are excited to go see most of those teams on Friday, because this Friday, as you know, is Cheer Sport.
Yes.
I love Cheer
Exciting.
Sport.
Yeah.
I've
never been a Cheer Sport fan.
Really?
Yeah, I've always forgot about it, because I just picture NCAA coming up and then forget about Cheer Sport. But I'm gonna try watching it this weekend.
So Cheer Sport, you think overhyped?
No, but maybe underhyped for me.
There you go. Okay. I mean, NCAA is in 2 weeks. Yeah, I get it. And NCAA, this is the last year in Dallas. They're moving it to Houston starting next year. And I've never been to NCAA. I was hoping to go this year. I still have time, I guess. But it's logistically flying around is just crazy. And that the NCAA is actually on my birthday weekend. So I was born at the end of the month. So that would be such a cool birthday present, right? Like to go to Dallas and be in the sea of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Have you been to NCAA, or is the only time you've been to the States for Summit?
I've been to the States more times, but for cheer, it was the summit. Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you have intentions to come back?
If I can get over my fear of flying, and
Do we share that same fear? I love it.
I hate flying.
Yo, me too. Me too. I'm right there with you. That's probably a big reason why I haven't booked my ticket to NCAA, because that's a long drive, Diana, from my house. Texas is
I can't drive there, so.
No. You could take a boat.
No. I'm going to look into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually watching a podcast the other day. Travis Barker, he's the drummer of Blink-182, and he was involved in a nasty private plane crash, I think 10 years ago or so. I don't know if you've heard about this or not. I mean, burly dude, just covered in tats. He's a cool dude, but he was involved in a plane crash, and him and I think one other were the only ones that survived. And he was petrified of flying. And so you think about someone like that where, he's always on tour. He's a famous person. So they travel by plane, but he told a story and I really resonated with it. So they live in LA, and when they had to tour overseas, you got to get there somehow. So he would take his tour bus from LA and drive out to New York. And then in New York, he would get on a boat and he would take the boat over to Europe. And then from Europe, he would get around through another tour bus. He said that he would have to leave between 2 and 3 weeks before the rest of his bandmates would. And the bandmates would leave the day of and just go fly over. Yeah, I don't like flying either.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Look into that. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, there's plenty of options, right? Boats. I mean, who doesn't love a good boat ride for a couple weeks?
Yeah, sure.
So what was your experience like at Summit, and when did you go?
2019.
So right before COVID.
Yeah, my old team got a bid, and so I felt like I just had to join. Why not? And fly out with some of my best friends and just have a good time.
How did they do?
They didn't make finals, I think. Some nervous drops, and but it was fun. Yeah.
Big stage. We've I've never been yet before. So our daughter, my wife and I's daughter, she is only eligible. This is her first year that she's been summit eligible. We've done the regional summit prior to, but summit she is eligible this year, and her team got a partial paid bid. So we're hoping for that paid bid coming up in the next few comps before we head out to summit. So I'm really, really excited to see what that all turns into, soak up that experience. We're about 8-hour drive from Florida, so we're not too far. So we're going to go down on probably that Wednesday, and then we're going to stay the whole following week to enjoy Disney. My wife and I and kids, we love Disney World, so we'll probably be enjoying that as well. But when you were at Summit, tell me about like, what was the atmosphere like? What was the experience like from the moment you got there to the moment you left? Like, tell me all about it.
Yeah, I felt like the mothership was calling me home. I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I just loved it. Like, cheer everywhere and just amazing teams and like my best friends with me. And it was just great.
How was the feeling? And this might be a little touchy, but how was the feeling being there, knowing that you had not had that opportunity, and that you were watching your friends be able to have this opportunity? Was that hard for you emotionally?
I think by that point, I got over it a lot. I think it had been like a year maybe since I injured, since I had to quit. But yeah, I mean, it would have been fun to compete, but it was also nice to just not have to practice in however hot it was outside and just like, yeah, follow them around and not have any pressure on myself. So
you get to really soak up that experience rather than just be like,
Yeah, there was one day when they went, I think they drove like 2 hours to a gym to practice, and me and my sister would just hang out by the pool instead. So that was,
have fun at practice.
It was nice.
I'll just be, chilling by the pool in this beautiful weather, because it can get hot. The end of May or beginning of May in Florida it can be pretty hot and humid. So, it's nice to be able to hang out by the pool and just chill. So we've got cheer sport coming up. We've got NCA coming up. We've got obviously Summit coming up. Are you going to do any coverage on like One Up in Nashville? Because that's going to be a really big comp this year.
Yeah, those are also competitions that I usually don't cover, like cheer sport, but I can look into it. Yeah. Yeah,
you should. I'll be at cheer sport. So we leave tomorrow, bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll drive down. And then I'll be at Friday Night Live. Are you familiar with their Friday Night Live?
I haven't watched it, but I want to, because I like the idea and it sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome that they donate all that money to St. Jude's. It's also pretty funny to watch all of the crazy cheer moms on a lot of the Facebook pages. Like, I need tickets. I'll sell my left kidney for a ticket. And it's like, these tickets were $5 a piece, US. And so it's so cheap. But it's just really funny to kind of watch and listen to these people like, I must get in. I have to do this. Like, what do I need to do? But I think it's going to be really neat to watch and to be able to soak that up and be able to see those teams. I'm excited to cheer sport's great because it's East Coast for us as well. And it's just a good time for me to be able to catch up with a ton of people that I may not get to see throughout the whole season. And so I'll be able to kind of see them hang out. And, we can't forget the Rebel and Varsity and Infinity pop-up shops, do a little shopping while we're down there.
Always shopping. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, what's one more cheer bag, right? Or what's one more competition shirt? I mean, you have to have them.
Yeah. A keychain you don't need, but it's cheer. So why not?
Exactly. What's your favorite type of cheer merch? Like when you were cheering and you were going around, what was the one thing you gravitated towards?
Good question. I hated bows at first.
Oh, like wearing them or just looking at them or everything?
Everything.
Yeah.
But I guess they were fun to look at. Buying, I don't know. I think for some reason I always like buying the shoes. I don't know why. Just like when they got so worn down and getting a new pair was like nice. But merch, probably shirts.
Shirts? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so shoes, white or black shoes?
White.
Always white?
No, but mostly.
Controversial topic. We usually ask that on most of the podcasts, because some people are like diehard black shoe fans. Some people are diehard white shoe fans. And it's just fun to listen to why.
Yeah, I agree. I think it depends sometimes on the uniform or the socks, but I'd say white.
Yeah, I agree. So when you're reporting all of this stuff on CheerBuzz, how do you walk me through a day in the life of Diana? Like, do you wake up and just try to soak in all this cheer? Like, how do you get the information? How do you choose which information to put on? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so no day is the same. And it's always thrown off by something happening or news breaking or, but I usually catch up when I wake up because a lot of things happen when I'm sleeping, which is not great, but I get a summary every morning, basically. So I check Twitter, I check Instagram, I check my email, everything, just if something major happened. And then I have a plan since the day before what I'm going to work on. And if there are no major news, then I just, get to my normal work. But then if something happens, then I have to figure out how I'm going to cover it, if I'm going to cover it, if I'm going to write an article, if it's an Instagram post, if it goes in the newsletter, just everything. And sort of checking what people are saying. Are they positive, negative? Just a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of positive and negative, and I think you'll agree, there's a lot of positive, but there's also a lot of negative. And I think that comes with anything, right? I don't think cheer is like this center of all negativity. I think it's no matter what you do, whenever you have parents and kids involved, it becomes very opinionated. So how do you filter through all that negativity? Because we know that there is some. How do you use your outlet to really spread that positivity and show the great in cheer?
Yeah, I think it's important to highlight both, depending on what the news are. Because I don't want to be someone who just spreads clickbait or hate or, highlights everything bad. But I also think it's important to incorporate some of the bad stuff because, depending on what it is, you don't want to just ignore it or act like it's not happening.
Yeah.
But it depends. I think I don't want to cover any bad news that has to do with like a single athlete or person or more about the industry as a whole, if anything. And then just focus on the positives and trying to spread the word about cheer because it's the best sport in the world. So.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Like, I remember when we first got into it and started it, it was one of those things where I was like, what have we done? And then after, it's just like getting bit by a bug, right? You're like, oh, I need more. Like, perfect example is last weekend, we had our first weekend off of competing in 5 weeks. We were on the road for 5 weeks, just going. And, during the 5 weeks, you're like, oh, I'm so tired. I want to sleep in my own bed. And then we get here during the weekend where we have nothing. And I'm like, I wonder if I could drive to DC and go to Coastal on the Capitol. It's like a 6-hour drive. And then I caught myself and I'm like, Nick, what are you doing? Like, take the weekend off, take the rest and just get ready for cheer sport. Like, this is crazy, but it's hard, right? Like, once you get so into it, you just can't step away.
Yeah, it's impossible. It's like I work with cheer all day and then winding down after work, I watch a YouTube show about cheer or routines or, it's just 24/7.
I love it. So what do you think we're missing in cheer? Like, you cover all this stuff and you get to see the cheer world really from a very wide lens and then get really micro with it. What do you think is missing in cheer right now?
I think on a high level, something that I would like to see change is just like unifying it more everywhere. Because, everyone has their own rules and now we're going more towards ICU and then there's those who, the season is backwards in Australia and everyone has different rules and levels and it's just chaotic and score sheets and,
the score sheets.
My dream would be that it's the same everywhere.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Like, and I think all of the common goals and you being an athlete, everybody wants to see this sport go to the Olympics. Like, that's the highest level that you can compete at would be the Olympics. And I know there are a ton of athletes, including my own, that that's their dream. Like their dream isn't to just go to the Olympics, but for this to be recognized, you know, on an international level. But they've got a lot to do. I think we're a little bit further along than we were, but I think that the road is still pretty long ahead. And to your point, we've got to get some of those things more unified. I don't think fixed, but more unified, because there has to be definitiveness and less subjectiveness, which is tough. And we've talked about it with a couple different judges that we've met. The subjectiveness has got to just get minimized a little bit, but you have to be able to have a little bit of it because it is a creative sport.
Yeah. That's also what I realized when I was at the Nordic Championships, and how those routines are, I guess, sort of more towards what it would look like in the Olympics. And I've been thinking about it since I went, and I think I'm at a crossroads with what I like and would like the sport to develop into, because there's that side when I feel like it's more a bit less subjective, since, you know, there's basically no dance, less choreography, and it's just skills. But then I like the all-star flair of everything, and the choreography and the dances and everything. So it's tough, and sort of what you like to see and then what you think that would benefit the sport.
And it's good that you get to see a whole different side. We don't get to see that, right? Unless we're on YouTube or whatever, we don't get to see that. And so it's really nice for you to have those different perceptions of, we just have horse blinders on, essentially. This is cheer to us. This is all we know. And then you get to see a whole different other side. And it's like, wait a minute. Okay, I like this and I like this, but now I have this whole other perception and view, and okay, I could get behind this. And so that's really neat to be able to see bits and pieces that you like, to say, okay, this used to be my kind of golden image, but now somebody else is doing a different flavor, and I kind of like that flavor.
Yeah, and I think that's also why it's important to cover more cheer, not just in the US, because you have those, like laser focus on the US, and you don't even know what's out there. So.
No, and then you kind of become part of the issue that you're trying to solve, right? Is to bring it more international and to bring the resources overseas better and throughout the world, and be able to kind of give the same level of compete, the same experience, the same product that we see here in the US across the whole world. And I think that would be an amazing thing, because if we can have more teams at the same compete, if not higher level, it really just ups the experience and really ups like the compete level within cheer. And now you've really kind of snowballed this thing into something much bigger.
Yeah. And you see like Nordic teams at ICU Worlds, we're globing, we're up there, and skill level is insane. And it's just about sort of, as a sport, as a whole, trying to figure out what we're doing. Where are we going? Like, what's the goal?
Do you find that the Nordic teams, when you're talking to some of those athletes and coaches and programs, do they rely heavily on, like, I guess the question is, do they look at the US as like their inspiration? Do they look at the US of, okay, my favorite cheer teams are US? Or do they say like, no, my favorite team is this Nordic team from, you know, XYZ?
I think it was definitely that way before. Looking at the US, because that was all you saw everywhere. And now I'm not sure, actually, now with going more towards ICU rules and sort of not all-star. But yeah, I was wondering, sitting there watching teams, like, how do they come up with this? Like, I've never seen this before. Like,
awesome.
Who came up with that? But yeah.
The originality. Okay, so who's your favorite team? Who's your favorite Nordic team? Who should we watch? Who should we check out on YouTube?
Basically every Finnish team.
Okay.
Yeah, there was this, they're called Youth Extreme.
Okay.
Youth level 3, doing skills that I've never seen before, not in the US, not anywhere. And they're just insane. And like, they're beasts. And their music didn't start properly, so they were kind of confused, but then just like went on hitting 0.
Oh.
Incredible.
Okay, who's your favorite US team to watch?
I think I have to say TGLC.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to see all those.
There's just something about them.
I'm going to see all them tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm jealous.
Yeah. There may or may not be someone from that organization that's coming on the podcast. So we're pretty excited about that.
Interesting.
Yeah. We can talk more offline about that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, that's a hot button here in the United States. Everybody knows Top Gun. Everyone knows Cali All-Stars. Everyone knows Stingrays. Everyone knows Rival and Spirit of Texas. And I'm probably forgetting a ton more that people, South Jersey, Storm, and then of course ATA.
Yeah.
We're making a little bit, all of the polls right now talk about cheer sport. And it's funny to watch some of those on TikTok. Like, where in the world are they coming up with these, these things? But watching the comments and watching these posts come out right before the competition of who these people, whoever they are, think that certain teams are going to place and certain teams are going to do. So it's been interesting to watch that. So, all right, let's dive in. So we've got a segment on our podcast that is called Questions That Hit Hard. And they're going to be rapid fire questions. Don't put any really thought into them. And just first thing, and then maybe we'll go a little bit deeper into one of them. So what is your favorite snack to eat at a competition?
Oh my God. There's this Swedish chocolate called Kexchoklad.
Okay.
Which I'd say that.
Okay. If you were going to be stuck on a cheerleading team for the rest of your life, what level and what would be your position?
Level 4 and main base.
Love it. What's your favorite skill to watch?
This is not rapid fire. I think round off into rewinds.
Love it. Yeah.
Those are good.
Do you prefer the uniform to be completely blinged, or do you like more of a basic uniform?
Bling.
You like,
Lots of sparkles, yeah.
You got to have the sparkles, right?
Yeah.
And then you already said that you're not a huge fan of bows, so we can't talk about bows. Okay, I have to know, do you shop at IKEA?
Yes.
Is it pronounced IKEA?
Yeah.
You hesitated. That means
I was just thinking about how I say it, but I have a southern accent, so.
How do you say it?
IKEA.
IKEA. Okay, perfect. Do you guys have the meatballs there?
Yes.
Are they just as good over there? They're probably better, aren't they?
Home cooked ones are much better, but.
I told Erica, and poor Erica, she's not been feeling well, so she had to depart, but that's okay. We have her here in spirit. I told her before we were getting ready to kick off the recording, I was like, I'm going to talk to Diana about IKEA and Swedish meatballs. And I don't think she thought that I was really going to do that, but it actually is right here on my notes. I have it. I'm going to show the camera right there. It says Swedish meatballs and IKEA. Okay, would you rather text for the rest of your life or talk on the phone?
Text.
Okay. TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram.
Ooh, let's go more into that one. How come?
I think just because I've been on Instagram longer, and TikTok, I enjoy going on it, but not as much posting, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's a weird place.
I agree. I feel like it's one of those places to bring up IKEA. See, I did it right this time. Do you guys have like the little kids place where you can drop off kids while you go shop?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got those here as well. And I feel like that's kind of TikTok. Like I tried TikTok and it felt like I was in the wrong place. I felt like I was somewhere that I got lost and I got turned around. Love Instagram. I completely side with you on that one. I think Instagram is probably the best platform that's out right now. It encompasses everything that I love, and it sounds like maybe you as well. So what's your favorite way to intake information? Is it email? Is it a text message? Is it video? What's your favorite way to intake?
Video.
Video? Yeah. I love video too. Do you like horizontal or landscape video?
Landscape.
I want to start a revolution to bring horizontal video back.
Yeah.
Like Bring it back. I hate vertical video. Do you know how hard, not really hard, but do you know how annoying it is for me to shoot vertical video? It's like, because I hold my camera vertical now because I don't get the same resolution if I crop in from the sides and I do it horizontal. But then when I'm doing like a bigger project for a program, I've got to film everything horizontal. So now I'm bringing 2 cameras. It just becomes this whole thing.
Yeah. You should go against the stream. Yeah.
You think so?
I think so.
All right.
Why not?
You know what? How about we do this? Cheer Sport, I will record everything horizontal.
Yeah.
People are going to be upset.
No.
They get so upset.
Just try.
I just want Instagram to be like, hey, here's the video. Whoop. Oh, I auto-rotated it for you. Perfect. Let's do that.
Exactly.
But see, we're in such a world now where everybody just wants that quick hit of dopamine and they just want to scroll, and they find it hard for them to do this. I don't know. It drives me bananas though. Yeah. So
maybe your videos will make everything change. They're going to see, nope, this is the way to go. And yeah.
Okay. We're going to manifest this right now that we're going back to horizontal and we're going to just do this and set myself apart. If I get a plummet of my analytics, I'm going to have to email you. Yeah.
I'm not responsible for any results.
No?
Unless it's good.
Well, perfect. Well, you never know. So photography, do you still shoot pictures?
No. I'd like to, but I don't.
Yeah. You probably are too busy with all this other cheer buzz stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Where do you want to see cheer buzz in the next 5 years?
I don't want to give everything that I have planned or want to do, but I want to be the biggest outlet globally.
I love it. That's a big, tall ask, but from what you've done so far in such a little amount of time, I have no doubt that that is something that you will achieve for sure. And I think it's amazing that you're taking this to market and you're really just showing people what cheer is about, but you're also inspiring, right? You've got all these young ones that have just got that drive that, you know, all these athletes typically have and that you had when you were younger, and it just fuels it. I mean, think about how much information is out now and the information that you're able to give those cheerleaders that maybe you didn't have that information when you were growing up and you were cheering. And so think about someone who loves the sport and eat, breathe, sleeps it, and now they have another way to intake it. I mean, you're making hearts pound.
Yeah, that's my goal. That's what I hope. Yeah.
I love it. Well, Diana, this has been so much fun getting to know you and the cheer buzz and cheerleading and just everything cheer. Thank you for bringing us some insight to what like Nordic cheer looks like and what, you know, ICU and everything that's going on overseas and talking about just your experiences. Tell everybody how they can come find you and what's the best way that they can do it.
Just search for any of the brand names anywhere. Yeah.
I love it. And sign up for your newsletter, right?
Yes. If you want to get the latest news every week, then sign up.
Perfect. And then they can find you at the Cheer Buzz on probably Twitter, Instagram, and then you have a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Love it.
I'm sort of everywhere. Yeah.
Hey, it's good to be everywhere, right? You got to meet people with where they are, and people are in a lot of different places.
Exactly.
Well, awesome. Well, Diana, thank you again. This has been great, and I wish you nothing but the success across all your brands, and I look forward to in the next 5 years seeing you be the top global media outlet for cheer. Keep spreading the positivity and telling everybody about cheer. We hope to see some articles about cheer sport and NCA and the summit, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't wait to keep following you as well. And we're manifesting big things.
Big things globally, right? We can't just think in our own countries. We have to think globally here because cheer is global. We need a shirt. Yes. Maybe I'll make a shirt that says cheer is global. That'll be good. I'll send you one. It'll probably take 3 weeks to get there, but we'll do it.
Good.
Cool. All right, everybody. That was our episode with Diana, the owner, founder, brainiac of the Cheer Buzz and amongst a couple other brands. Again, if you are looking for amazing cheer content, looking to know the who's, the what's, the where's, make sure you go on any of the outlets and look for the Cheer Buzz at the Cheer Buzz, and just dive in. Make sure you sign up for that newsletter and just really go for it. we love cheer. Everybody loves cheer. If you're watching this, you love cheer. So you might as well go get the what's of going on and start following some Nordic cheer teams. And maybe you, if you own a program, you can get some ideas of what's going on across the pond. I think times are changing. Things are shifting. And we're about to have some awesome compete level globally. So we'll see you next time on the next episode of Hit Season. Until then, we'll see you on the mat. See ya.